From new college graduates to those searching for a new gig, the job market is pretty tough right now. The overall national jobless rate stands at 4.2%, but experts say the unemployment rate for those ages 22 to 27 with at least a bachelor's degree is consistently higher than that. On today's Money Monday, Tori Dunlap of her First 100K joins us to talk about job searching. And Tori, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So as folks are out there looking for a new job, it can also be very overwhelming if you feel like you see a job you like, but you might not exactly be qualified.
Yeah.
What should folks remember as they're doing their job searches?
Yeah, I mean, it's overwhelming always to look for a job, but it feels especially spicy right now. I think the biggest thing as someone who both teaches people how to find a job, but is also an employer, is that we're not looking for you to meet 100% of the job requirements.
Okay.
This is kind of a wish list, right? So when you're applying, you want to look for something 70 to 80% of the way there. I especially see this with women. Women don't qualify for jobs unless they're 100%, or don't apply for jobs unless they're 100% qualified. And we want to have a little bit of flexibility in terms of that.
And for people who are discouraged by a job description, what should they be thinking about instead?
This is my favorite tip for anybody out there. I want you to think about bridge skills. So I give this incredible example in my book, Financial Feminist, about my friend Haley. Haley worked as a maitre d' at P.F. Chang's, did not have any recruiting experience, but wanted to be a recruiter.
Okay.
And so in the job description, it's something like, manages time effectively and manages stress. She had all of these stories from her time maitre d'-ing. She knew how to do all of that. She knew how to manage, difficult customers. She knew how to show up on time. And so I want you to go line by line through a job description and identify stories or narratives that you have from previous experience that shows you're actually well equipped for this job using those bridge skills.
How exactly do you do that? How do you make it seem like you are qualified and you give those stories?
Yeah, I think the resume is the place for what you've done or what you've accomplished, right? So we're looking for really specific bullet points. We're looking for times where we can use those transferable skills and highlight them, but also really specific numbers too. And then your cover letter is why you want this job. So the resume is, I can do this job, but the cover letter is why I am passionate about this job or this company. And it's also a great time to go, I may not have done X, Y, or Z, but here's how I can show up and do the work that you need me to do.
So let me see if I got it. The resume is a little bit more generic. In the cover letter, is that where you're being really specific and intentional?
Yeah, and I know because you and I have applied for a million jobs, I'm sure in our careers that cover letters suck, right? They're like not fun to do. But actually as an employer, like those are the ones where I feel like you can story tell much more. And especially if you are trying to bridge that gap, it's a perfect time to talk about not just your relevant experience, that's what the resume is for, but to tell a story. Why are you interested in this job? What sort of work do you want to be doing, and how are you going to show up?
And is that how you make your application stand out? We just talked about Microsoft laying off more people. There's a lot of qualified people out there looking for jobs right now. How do you make yours at the top of the pile?
Yeah, I am still old school. I think a thank you note goes a long way, especially after you've applied. But even just a message after that initial application. I sent my application off. Go to LinkedIn, see who you know. Do you know somebody who, went to your college or who works with somebody you know? Or can you make a connection in some way? And networking gets a bad rep. It feels like this scary word of like, okay, I'm gonna have to, shake people's hands in suits and try to make small talk. And it's really just getting to know somebody else and figuring out how can you bring value to their life and how can there be an exchange of value. So when it comes to networking, be a human, be a person, and that's a great opportunity to follow up after your application and resume and just saying, hey, I applied for this job, I'm really excited, let me know if I can provide any additional information about me.
Real quick, what are the 3 biggest things to remember as you're looking for a job?
Yeah, I think hyper-specific resume points, just bullet points about what you've accomplished, numbers. Again, use that cover letter to kind of bridge that gap, especially if you're applying for a job that might not 100% fit your skill set. And then network like a human, have conversations, show up at your networking events, and just, act like this is somebody you want to get to know. That's really what we're doing when we're networking.
Network like a human, I like that. Be authentic, right? Be yourself. All right. Tori, thanks so much for being here. Great to see you as always. Remember, Tori will join us every Monday. Send in your money questions for her by texting the word money to 206-448-4545. We'll work to answer your questions, so send them to us.